Hey guys, it's Mama J. Welcome back to the channel. Now today is day 5 in our countdown to Repticon, and I just wanted to thank you guys so much for joining me this week. It has been a true honor and pleasure to be able to share just the passion for animals with you this week. Now, if you're new to the channel, I want to let you know that we have been talking about the 5 most common animals that you might see at a Repticon show. So we've talked about bearded dragons and leopard geckos, Pac-Man frogs, ball pythons, and today we're going to talk about crested geckos. And I've been at Repticon all day today helping my buddies over at Gecko Junkie and Blackburn Exotics set up for the show. So I can tell you right now, it's going to be a great weekend. But without further ado, let's get to today's topic. Now we're talking today about crested geckos, and this is my crested gecko Milo. Now, crested geckos are known by the scientific name Coreophilus ciliatus, and the Latin word cilia actually means eyelash. So one thing that you will hear these guys called is eyelash geckos because they have the most beautiful long eyelashes. Now, a crested gecko has these beautiful little crests along the sides of its body. And as you can tell, Milo is nice and fired up right now, which means that he has a very dark color and has beautiful patterns. Now, crested geckos can go through periods to where they're what they call fired up, which means they're at their brightest color, or fired down, which means that they get to be a lighter color. And sometimes they will do this related to their mood or temperament or lighting, humidity, different things like that. Now, another interesting fact about crested geckos is that they have no eyelids. So in order for them to keep their eyes clean and moist, they use their long tongue to be able to go up and lick their eye and keep it clean. In fact, you may even see Milo licking his eyes while we're sitting here talking. Now, crested geckos are native to the island of New Caledonia. They are a tropical species, and they are also a nocturnal species, meaning that they are active at night. Now, a crested gecko is a smaller type of a gecko. They grow to be about 7 to 9 inches in length, and they're very good jumpers. They also climb very well on the tank wall, which is really fun to get to see. They have these little feet that feel very sticky, but they actually have little hairs on the bottom of their feet. And what happens is that it causes a friction, and it helps to keep them steady up against whatever it is that they're climbing on. They actually have these little hairs on the very tip of their tail as well. Now, talking about a crested gecko's tail, you will see some crested geckos that have a tail and some that have no tail. And you may think, well, why is that? Is something wrong with it? Well, this is actually one of their adaptations. If a crested gecko feels frightened or afraid, or sometimes just for the heck of it, for no reason, they can drop their tail. This is a very common thing. It heals very easily, and it doesn't seem to hinder them in any way. But once a crested gecko has lost a tail, they cannot grow it back like other species of geckos can. But either way, they are wonderful geckos. And if you see one without a tail, it looks like it has a little frog butt. It's really quite cute. So whether your gecko lives with a tail or no tail, as my grandson would say, they're amazing animals. Now let's talk a little bit about keeping crested geckos. Now, in my opinion, these are one of the easiest reptiles to be able to keep. And I say that because you can start out a juvenile crested gecko in like a Tupperware bin, almost like a shoebox type style. And I'll put a picture up here for you to be able to see one of my juvenile crested geckos. You can do a paper towel substrate, you can have a little plant hide or a log, and they do perfectly fine in that type of an environment. Now, the other option that you can do is a really pretty exhibition tank if you want to. You can do something called a bioactive enclosure where you create kind of a natural biome, and you have different layers of substrate, and you have a cleanup crew of isopods and springtails, and they can kind of help maintain any biological waste that the crested gecko has. And so it becomes a self-sustaining environment. So really the only maintenance to a bioactive enclosure is just wiping down the glass every now and then, or spot cleaning on occasion. But it's a very enriching environment. You can use real plants, you can use pieces of cork bark and vines, and really makes a fun environment to get to see your animal climb around. As far as diet, these guys are so easy. Pangea makes a wonderful prepared food that is a complete diet for crested geckos. All you do, it's a dry powder, you mix it up with water, and you put it in a little cup, and they're good to go. I feed my crested geckos every other day, and that works out great. I also supplement them with some calcium dusted crickets on those opposite days. But amazing animals as far as ease of care feeding. Now, a crested gecko doesn't need any kind of special lighting. I do use an LED light on top of my tanks, mainly just for to be able to view the tank better, and also for plant growth. So if you're using a real plant in your enclosure, then that's always helpful as well. But having a natural daylight cycle is great to help these animals. As you can see, these are amazing reptiles to be able to keep. Crested geckos have a very calm disposition. They are a little bit flighty as a juvenile, but once they start maturing, they calm right down, and you can hold them, and they are so soft to the touch. They are also one of the easiest reptiles to be able to maintain as far as diet, being able to mix up the prepared food and supplement with crickets on occasion. They do very well in a captive environment and are really a fun animal to get to have as a pet. So if you've never gotten to see a crested gecko up close, I encourage you to go and take a look at one at Repticon or at the pet store and see what amazing animals these guys are. Well, this wraps up our 5-day countdown to Repticon vlogs, and thank you so much for joining me each day, those of you that have done that. If you've missed a video, don't worry, you can click on the playlist at the end of this and go back and catch each one of those. One thing that I wanted to let you know is that I've had a great response from these type of videos, and so I've decided to continue these animals in spotlight. So starting next week, I'm going to try to continue to do a featured animal that particular day on that video, and we'll just talk about some fun facts and kind of give you a broad overview. And I thought, we'll just keep going until I run out of animals to talk about. So thank you guys again. Don't forget about our special surprise, and be sure and get in on that giveaway. If you missed that information, go back and check on vlog number 4 at the end, and that will give you all the information you need about that. Thanks so much, guys, and have a wonderful weekend.